Hello, Earth Science students. This is Mrs. DeMeyer, and I'm coming to you live from my office. I'm just going to do a quick little summary of the Prezi that you missed while you were gone. So what I'm going to do is show you kind of how to approach this assignment and where to go to get information for your assignment. So first, you're going to start for Earth Science the alternative fuels versus fossil fuels, renewables versus non-renewables, by going to do general research. You need to find out an overview of what it is you're doing research about. So start with the Pathfinder, and then that Pathfinder will list several of these databases below it. And what I want you to notice is Science Online right here, and that is where you should start. So I'm going to show you how to use a different research tool, but I want you to start at Science Online. Science Online and Science in Context are very good beginning places. They'll give you this general information, like I'm pointing to here, and that would be encyclopedia and reference articles. And then when you want to do more specific searching, you can use Science Reference Center, Greenfile, and then also Science Online and Science in Context. But those really specific articles are going to be really hard to understand before you get some background information. So today, what I'm going to do is start by showing you how to use one of those tools. Now, something that students usually say by the time I get to discussing databases and showing them how to use them is, I don't really need to do this because I know how to do really good Google searching. And what I would say is, I'm really glad, because Google searching is really important. But you're going to have to cite these sources in a works cited at the end, and trying to do that on websites is really challenging, but using databases, they really kind of cite themselves for you. So I just want to show you a few things about using EBSCO that are really, really helpful, especially in terms of doing research and then also citing that research properly. So we're going to click there on the link, and this is what will happen every time you try to use a Jefferson County Public Library database. And what you do is you put your name and your library card number in. Now, if you don't have your name and library card number to put in because you don't have a library card, then don't worry about that. I'm going to show you what to put in right here, and I'm going to show you a library card number that you can put in for Golden High School that will allow you to have access to these databases. Okay, so you type in Golden High School up here, and then here where there's that barcode number and it asks for a barcode, you type in this number, 2600468834. So I'm going to do that right now. And click Submit. And it will take me to that database. So the first thing I want to do is click Full Text here, because I want the entire article. I don't want just a summary of the article. And then I'm going to type in my search. So I'm going to search for biodiesel. And what I'm going to get is a combination of general overview and very specific. So I want to toss out all of the specific and focus more on the general. First, I'm going to change it so that the date is in this century. And then I'm going to just sort of look at that. That looks, I don't even know what that means. So I'm going to scroll past that. Biodiesel homegrown oil looks pretty general. Biodiesel from algae, possibly. Biodiesel breathes better, that might be a good one. Bioethanol versus biodiesel, that might be good when I'm wanting a really specific article comparing and contrasting. Biodiesel's bright future might be a good one. But it looks to me like the best sort of basic overview is going to be this biodiesel homegrown oil. So what I want to do is read a little summary of the article to see if I'm right. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to pull up what's called an abstract. And here is all the information about this, but this is the part I really want to look at, and that's the abstract. The abstract is basically the gist of the article. So it's going to tell me that this is an overview of how the fuel is made. It's been called liquid solar energy, and how it's being used in a couple of different ways. This looks exactly like what I need to do some research. So what I'm going to do over here is click on HTML or PDF, doesn't matter. Click on that link, and it's going to bring up the whole entire article for me. So I can read it, I can highlight it, I can come over here and print it or email it to myself. And here's the part that really makes using these databases the best, because I have to cite my sources. And so here's how I cite the source. I click Cite, and it brings up my citation for me. So I just scroll down to MLA, highlight, copy, and paste that into a Word document. So there's no way that you could have an easier way of doing your work cited. So definitely take me up on using these databases. You'll get really excellent information, and it starts you off on the right foot. So that's just one of those resources. There are a couple others that I want you to click around. And remember, start with Science Online. I showed you the list over here. There was this Science Online that I want you to start with. But we're going to click ahead and find out, what do we do with all this information? So you're going to take your notes, and you're going to take notes using a tree map. Tree maps classify information. So I've got biodiesel, and I'm classifying it into 4 different things that I want to talk about in my brochure. So I'm going to talk about how it is made. I'm going to talk about types. I'm going to talk about the benefits of using biodiesel and the drawbacks. So I'm going to go reading my articles, listing examples here in these spaces. So this is where I put my evidence, factual evidence. Now you'll see that there's a T that's pointing down to that evidence, and these are my subcategories. Okay. Now here's what I want you to look at as well. Where did you get your information? That's where you're going to refer to your citing of your sources. And what's the potential of bias in your sources? Bias means that somebody would have a predisposed thoughts or opinions on a particular fuel, and they're going to try to convince you using their information to see things their way. So you need to kind of keep that in the back of your mind, that there might be a potential for bias. If I work for Shell Oil Company, then I'm biased towards fossil fuels because that's who I work for. If I work for NREL, then it's potential that I'm biased towards alternative energy. So you need to kind of keep that on your radar screen as you're doing your research. And then you're going to have one of these tree maps just like this for each side. So each of your fuels, you will have a tree map. So 2 tree maps. And then you're going to take those tree maps, take the information, and compare using a double bubble. So I'm comparing biodiesel here to natural gas. And so I have similarities, places where they have similar qualities. And then these are things that are specific to biodiesel that may or may not apply to natural gas. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if I've got a bubble here that says made from plants, I have to have a bubble here that says not made from plants. All right, so now over here I've got things that are specific to natural gas. And then of course in purple in the middle is the ones that are similar. So you're going to only have one of those maps. You'll have one double bubble where you're comparing, contrasting. Now the main thing that you need to be thinking about on the double bubble is this right here. What conclusions can you draw for your essay? So what are some of those conclusions that you can draw based on the information, the facts, the data? Okay, now here's the hard part. This is the hardest part of the entire assignment, and that isn't finding your resources, and it's not even writing the paper. It's actually reading and understanding the research and analyzing that research and using that research to draw conclusions. So when we analyze, we're going to look at a few things today. We're going to look for bias. Who's the information being written by? Is this a person that maybe has a potential for bias? So somebody who has a predisposed thoughts or information on, or wants you to believe something in some particular way. And then also, who are these people? Do they have any authority? Are they scientists, or is it Jimmy Joe who did a 2nd grade website project talking about biodiesel? So you really need to look at who's writing these articles and who do they work for? Who are they? Are they legitimate scientists, or are they just general population? Then also look at the accuracy of information. Is the information that you're seeing in one source being replicated in many sources? Are the same people drawing the same conclusions on that information? So look for that redundancy in information, just like you would look for lab results to be the same each time different people do a lab. Same types of things with your information. You want to see it showing up again and again and again, because that's more people looking at the same data coming to the same conclusion. So that analysis is really important. Now, when you analyze all of that, you have to draw a conclusion, and you're going to come up with an argument for your conclusion, and you're going to use both sides of that argument for your choice. You're going to research, and you're going to back up your argument using that research. So you don't want to use terms like I feel or it's obvious, but you need to show data and facts that back up the argument that you are going to choose. And then cite those sources. That's a really, really important piece, because if you don't have any sources, then it doesn't appear that you've done any research at all. So make sure you have that work cited when you start that pamphlet. So the next video that you're going to want to watch is how to do your pamphlet. After you have done all your research, what are you going to do with all that research? So hope this helped, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to come see me in the library, and I can catch you up. Thanks so much. Good luck.